Good day, friends. Welcome to the CoinGeek Weekly Livestream. I am your host, Kurt Wooker Jr. So I'm chilling. Please stop with the camera thing. Please, camera. Don't do this to me. So, okay. I thought I had the camera thing figured out, like the distance management and the lighting. It seems like sometimes it loses me. So, anyways, okay, I'm not gonna talk about myself and production issues live on the air. However, my headphone, my left one specifically, sounds like it's dying. So all of my AV is a mess, which is gonna throw me off a little bit. So if you're watching live, thank you. Please like, subscribe, hit the alert bell, all that jazz. Today is going to be an Ask Me Anything show, which demands that you ask me anything. Please stop moving, camera. I hate when it can't focus. Drives me nuts because I know that it makes some of you motion sick. Okay. If you are watching live and you have questions, most specifically about Bitcoin, but if you have questions about anything else, we can talk about that too. We are going to have a bunch of stuff. So we're going to be talking over the next few weeks, like 6 weeks, 7 weeks. We have the London Blockchain Conference is May 21st through the 23rd in London, Ohio. No, just kidding. It's in the UK, and we will be there. I'll probably be there for the week. So if anybody wants to like book some fish and chips with me or something like the weekend before, we'll probably make that happen. And I'd appreciate you letting me know ahead of time. I'm going to see if I can make this camera stop moving because it's driving me crazy. Changing mode. Ooh, it's a little blurrier that way. Let's make it less blurry and see if that helps. Studio light. Less studio light, more studio light. So irritating. Who wants to see my whole office? Let's go super wide. Oh, I didn't even do anything. Ultra wide. Unbelievable. Okay, frustrating. Not sure why it always does this when I go live. I've been on meetings all day and it hasn't been doing this. So I don't know what the issue is. So, okay. I am going to be in London. The weekend before May 21st through the 23rd, and then until the weekend after. So if you want to book some time with me, please reach out. You can send me a DM. If it's something important, you get dibs. If it's just like, Kurt, I'd really like to meet you, maybe we'll put together like a group meet and greet so we can get like a group of people that just want to like shake hands, have a beer, that kind of thing. Full disclosure, I haven't had an alcoholic beverage in... since actually Brandon, the day that me and you went and met at that Irish pub, that was the last time I had a beer. So whenever that was the last time I've had a adult beverage. So that's got to be 6 months or something like that. But I really don't drink very often at all anymore because I've been focusing on my health. And so, but when I'm on these work trips, especially in a place like London, I really, really love English like pub ales and red ales, especially the cask cured pub ales. That's kind of my thing. So I'll probably break my alcohol fast in London. Certainly with my colleagues, with whom they would like to have a beverage, I may sit down and have one with my delightful colleagues. So I will do that. So anyways, all that to say, please reach out. Let's make London great again, or at least let's just have a good time. So the ad today will be a London blockchain ad, but we're not going to get there quite yet. What I do need from you, if you're watching now, so a couple things. I need you to send this video, whether you're watching me on X or Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube. I need you to send this around because if we get the live viewers, that lets the algorithm know that I'm handsome and talented, and then I get a raise. So not really, but if we were to get like 1 million subscribers, I think I would get dividends from that. But as of now, I think the CoinGeek channel's in the 40,000s for subscribers, subscriptions, which is good. Not complaining, but it's certainly not the kind of numbers I can go retiring on. So if you guys could please like, subscribe, hit the alert bell, and let people know that we're watching live. Now, this is also very important for another very specific reason. And that reason is today is an Ask Me Anything show, which means if you don't ask me questions, I'm just going to have to wing this whole show off the top of my head, which is not freshly shaven or buffed. And so I'm a little bit at your mercy, everybody. So I appreciate you. I appreciate the all the good ones. The questions should be easy to get past Mr. Ward because he is an easygoing guy. He's a little bit more chill than Alex Moon, mostly because he's American and Alex is a Brit. Now, also, Alex may not want me to say anything, but Alex has actually had a really rough few weeks. He had an injury that I don't want to talk about in public, but if you're the kind of person who sends well wishes and prayers, Alex Moon, he could use some well wishes and prayers as he's recovering from an accident he had on vacation, like a sports accident, and he's not doing real well. I think he is on the mend. He is recovering. I don't think we're at the point of imminent death, but he has had a very rough few weeks. So Alex, I've been worried about you, buddy. I miss you. It's been sad not having you here. So please recover well and all that jazz. Now, okay, we're going to cut to the ad here because we're like, oh my gosh, almost 7 minutes into the show, and I'm still just sort of talking off the top of my head. So again, fill the troll box with the questions. We're going to play the ad, and we will be right back. All right. Other fun thing, if you look at the photos of me from London Blockchain last year, that was actually my peak of weight. So I did a bulk year with lots of lifting, and now I've been doing a cut year since then. And so I will be something like 50 pounds less than I was at the last London Blockchain conference. So good times for everybody if you want to see how svelte I am in person. It's yet another reason to pop in at London Blockchain. So Mr. Ward, let's start popping in the questions here. And we're going to start answering them. We're going to do them live. I see my buddy New Win. I think he calls himself Nijin because he's like the most American Vietnamese guy I've ever met here. But I'm used to the Vietnamese pronunciation. So Mr. Ward, let's pop up the questions. Question number 1. Let's go. Kurt, your thoughts on the BSV demo day in DC last week. So, okay, this was actually super cool for a couple of reasons. A, I knew a lot of the people that got to do this demo day, and B, the people that they were doing this demo day for were some serious Washington, D.C. insider folks, the kind of people that consult our Congress and senators and all these people on blockchain-related policy and tech-related policy, but also some of the legislators themselves were so interested that they came in on the conversation. And so there was at least a day long, it might have been bridging multiple days, where they were discussing not only the power of blockchain itself, but the specificity of the BSV blockchain and explaining its unique powers in doing all kinds of specific things. And so guys like Brian Doherty, who, if you've ever seen him speak, he is... I'm trying to think what the word is. He's not a flashy speaker. So he's not the kind of like me, who I tend to like, I'm just like, my emotions are out on my sleeve and I'm just excited about everything. Brian is very metered and professional, but he also is very, he gets to the point really well. And then he had this whole group of other people. I saw guys like Jack Davies and some of these other people were in this conversation. Jack is in R&D over at nChain. So these are some of the pretty high level computer science thinkers that were involved there too. And just looked like a really good group of people. I don't have any inside knowledge. However, I would love to get somebody who was at that event to come on the show. So maybe for next week and talk about the specifics if possible. I don't know how many things were sworn to secrecy. Maybe they got to see the alien bodies or some of the other stuff in order to share some of the secrets of the Bitcoin stuff. So I don't know any more specifics, except for that the people that were there were absolutely first rate and giving information to some of the most powerful people in the world about why this particular blockchain is the one that really matters for changing the world. So that's all I got on that one. Next question, please, Mr. Ward. Please keep the questions coming in the troll box, please. Did you see BTC Maxis are in the process of canceling Vlad Costea for hosting Roger Ver on his podcast? I did indeed. It's funny. I know who Vlad is. I don't know him personally. I've never met him. At least I don't recall ever meeting him. But I I commented on something to him like 3 weeks ago, right after the Copa trial ended, and he responded back to me and was like, "Hey, aren't you supposed to be like?" He said something, dismissive. It's like, aren't you supposed to be coping hard or something like that? And it just said like, hey man, I'm not here to cry. It just wrote him back something, just whatever. We had a brief back and forth, but then he announced like a day later, like, hey, I'm gonna have Roger Ver on my show, who's like, the you're probably the main protagonist if you're a big blocker in many ways, or the main antagonist if you're a small blocker. It's either Roger or Craig in all of these situations, and depending on the context. But Roger, first of all, I watched the interview. The interview was quite good. I've always really liked Roger as a person and as a speaker. I really like the way that he explains things. In fact, he was a big influence on me and on kind of the way that I do the sort of Bitcoin missionary work that I like to do with my time. Hey, everybody. So, I don't know how well this is going to work. They are doing massive tree cutting in my neighborhood, and so I have a feeling my Comcast wire may have been nicked. So I'm trying on 5G, which is admittedly not great in my homes. Technical difficulties may continue. The show must go on. Also, I have to use my laptop camera because my phone can't be a hotspot and my camera at the same time. So let's get back to the questions. Yes, they're trying to cancel Vlad Costea because he's and short of it, and that's the best we can do. Basically, he's the big bad guy for talking to blockers, not allowed in BTC cancel culture, but it is what it is. Let's turn my camera resolution even lower of everyone's sanity. Yes. Low definition. Low def Kurt. There we go. Okay, cool. Next question, please, Mr. Ward. Where do you see AI and blockchain overlapping? So there's a huge overlap in AI and blockchain. And here's AI requires data. It all AI does is ingest lots of data and then try to make sense of it. Now, the best way to fool AI or make AI malicious or make it unhealthy in some way is to give it bad data. Now, if you give it bad data, it's going to consistently give you back bad everything. So the power of blockchain is in data provenance. It's in distilling the quality of data. Proof of work solves the Byzantine generals problem, but what the Byzantine generals problem really is it's about tuning out bad information and only tuning in good information. And if you can do that using proof of work and blockchain, etc., well, now that data can become very useful to the AI, which the AI right now, I'm sure they're using lots of proprietary algorithms in order to basically do what they do. But the problem is that if you've just even used ChatGPT, sometimes ChatGPT lies to you in a very convincing way. And so blockchain can basically distill data down to its most useful variant. And that itself would be extremely valuable going forward. So next question, please. Also, I think I may have to hurry with my questions here because missed about 10 minutes time there. Any follow-up about the BSV Hackathon winner related to video? Paying per second. Actually, I'm not sure. Shoot, what was that project even called? So there was Bitcoin Phone that had audio, basically using unlock time and some other stuff over Bitcoin. I don't know. So those hackathon winners, well, there's a few hackathon winners that are still doing all kinds of cool stuff. Like Luke Rowanaz, for example, was the Tonic Pow. I think he was the runner-up. The other one from that era was BitPing, like Dean Little and his team. There was a couple others. I don't know. I don't remember the pay per second video or where they're at. So sorry. Next one, please. Moon versus Wooker PowerPoint. So we are going to have to figure that out. I'll tell the story for those who are unaware. We were in Las Vegas in, gosh, it's got to be 2021, maybe? So it was in January. So maybe it was January 22. But we were at the, what do they call it? CET, the Consumer Electronics CES. When you get... it was the Consumer Electronics Show, CES, in Las Vegas. Now, me and Mr. Moon were manning the big BSV, like, super booth for a good chunk of the time, but we decided to go take a walk, and we were in, like, the looking for automotive. So there was, like, an automotive technology area, and then there was one of those measure your punch machines. So I've been, involved in martial arts my whole life. I was an MMA coach and all this other stuff. And I'm not admittedly a striker. I've never said I was like a particularly good boxer or anything, but I'm capable. I know how to box, and I'm also quite big. I'm at the time was I don't know, 300 pounds or something. And, you know, I'm 6'3" and know how to punch. So I go hit the thing and I get like a, I don't even know, 875 pound per square inch punch, which is a really good number. And then Alex shows up and goes and punches it, and he gets like 965 or something. Just absurd. He breaks the record of the day. Now, to Alex's credit, Alex probably weighs, I don't know, 75 pounds less than me, but he's also very dense and he's got brilliant, perfect form. He's a very good boxer. And man, he wailed on this thing, broke the record on the machine. He ended up winning some kind of a device that for your car, like it was a, you know, giveaway thing for the show. And but it was just wild, and we have it all on film somewhere too, so we gotta have to check that out. But anyways, he killed it, totally crushed it, and we're gonna have to have some kind of a rematch here once we get all of our ducks in a row and get that straightened out. So that's definitely a thing. Maybe we can get one of them at London Blockchain Conference and give something away there. So all right, cool. Next one, please. Ehrlich, how much does the price of BTC have to be profitable for miners post-halving? Asking for a friend. So it's a difficult question to answer because Bitcoin really is anti-fragile in the way that it works. So if the price drops precipitously, and like it took a big drop today, markets are down. Today's a big red day, and ultimately the price, when that happens, all of a sudden your ASICs, especially your least efficient ASICs, will all of a sudden to lose their ability to make a profit. So they're consuming too much electricity, or they're consuming more electricity than they can overcompensate for with the machine. So the machine might burn $50 an hour, but it can only earn $40 an hour. So that machine is the kind of machine that you would go ahead and turn off in that situation. However, when that kind of thing, you turn your machine off, Bitcoin it understands that the machine has been turned off, and if too many machines get turned off, the difficulty will adjust down, which will then raise the profitability of each machine that is back on the network or still on the network. And so it is a little bit self-healing in that regard. Now, if it were to take a huge drop, I mean, if it were to drop to, you know, $15,000 again inside of a week or two, like the bottom totally falls out of it, you would see, you know, bankruptcies and stuff in a few mining companies. Not your biggest few, but certainly in the bottom half of all mining companies, you'd see a lot of them just like pack up shop because they can't pay their bills. They've got too much overhead. You know, the bank calls the note on your debt essentially, and you're wrecked, right? So it's not a real easy question to answer. But when the halving happens, and I think on BCH, I think it happens tomorrow, and then BSV's happens in the next few days, and then BTC happens a little bit later, in, you know, like a week from now. Now, what the halving is every 210,000 blocks, the number of Bitcoins that you get per block, new Bitcoins that are entered into circulation, those get cut in half. And so we are about to enter the 3 1/8 era or epoch of Bitcoin. And so when that happens, if the price is not double what it was when you started making all of your calculations on your debt and all the other stuff that, you know, whatever went into you buying a place, well then, you know, then big trouble. For we necessary, then you can usually get back basically because the difficulty adjusts down. Now that's not a perfect thing because if the price just keeps trending down forever, difficulty keeps trending down forever, then all of a sudden it gets to a point where you could not mine, like you can't ever get back because there's only a certain amount of economy that can be supported by a certain sized economy. So it starts to turn into a macroeconomic conversation, and it would really take the rest of the show to kind of explain the calculus problem that goes into that. But to answer your question, it really depends. If you're a company that is over leveraged, if you really need to cash in all the Bitcoins you mine every month in order to pay your electric bill and service whatever debt you have, you'd be in big trouble. weeks after in order to try to make it up, and you can get yourself into a vicious cycle. But if you're not in a particularly bad position, honestly, you'd probably be fine if it dropped to 25 grand and sat there for months at a time, because that's just how it works. When other people dip, it's good for the people who stay. So that's that. Next question, please. La la la. Hi, Kurt. Or hey, Kurt, rather. How are you guys? Hope all is well with you, Mr. Moon. Two-part question. One, do BSV or any other chain use AWS right now to keep transactions or to process them all? Two, if yes, then why do we need a blockchain? So AWS, like GorillaPool doesn't use AWS, but we do use different cloud providers for different things. We also run our own bare metal in a couple of privately owned spaces, one of which is privately owned by one of our business partners. But I'm going to adjust my camera down a little bit here. So AWS they're just a cloud provider. They're the biggest cloud provider. They are Amazon Web Services and one of the biggest companies in the world. And the reason you would use the blockchain is because it's a different kind of data provenance. So you probably wouldn't want to have everything in AWS for various reasons, not the least of which is insufficient level of decentralization. Like if AWS goes down, the whole blockchain goes down. That would be a bad thing, but that's certainly not how the system works. Now, over time, and actually Amazon is a good example of this. So Amazon used to run on the internet, but now the internet runs on Amazon. And so it sort of became recursive in a way that might not have been predictable, in 2002 or something, but and so it's can be okay. And solutions to these sorts of problems are economic. Like if the economy can make a solution that the economy will pay for, then it's fine. Like it's not an issue. So yeah, I don't see a problem with using AWS fundamentally, but it would be unwise for everyone to be on, like for every node on the network to be on AWS. But if you look at BTC, you can see where BTC node IP address on AWS too. So Coinbase and some of these like commercial entities that have to have nodes for commercial levels of uptime, they're using AWS for these kind of things. So it's not like this is an exclusive BSV situation. Like basically everybody uses AWS for something. So I wouldn't worry about it. About halfway here. Separate from verifying transactions and adding them to a block. Yes, they are completely different, broken out, separated, specialized processes. So all of the stuff your node is doing about validating, which you could call that transaction processing or block validation or transaction validation, they're all essentially the same thing. So when people broadcast a transaction to the network, the transactions, they propagate over the peer-to-peer network, and then they make it hopefully to all the nodes on the network. And then all the nodes have them in what is called their mempools, which is kind of like a waiting tank for your block template. Now, every one of those nodes, if they are mining nodes anyways, they are proposing a block template. And among well-connected nodes, block templates are not transactions are propagating among us. Now, if GorillaPool, for example, my company, is the one that finds the valid hash, which is the only thing the proof of work is doing. It is doing a guess and check on a list. It's just a list of hashes, and it is doing, is this the right one? Yes or no? Is this the right one? Yes or no? Is this the right one? And if the answer is yes, then our node proposes a block to the rest of the network. And then it becomes the accepted block when somebody builds upon that block. So, but that is itself, that is just a signaling mechanism about validity. It is not validation itself. The validation is actually done inside of totally separate computers on totally separate systems, but they communicate. They're connected to each other, but they are essentially separated out into other specialized processes. So validation is happening. It could happen. Next question, please. Doo-doo. Why is the price of BCH going up? If the halving for them is here, shouldn't it be going down because it's less profitable? People are saying it's the halving meme. So people will say, well, it's getting more is being inflated by less, if that makes sense. So the number of coins continues to go up, but it's going up at a lesser rate. So the level of inflation is going down, not the absolute scarcity of the asset. But that meme about it is that, man, it's getting more scarce, so it's got to be more valuable. Also, I have to apologize for my connection. I think my internet line got cut, and I'm trying to do this over my 5G. Admittedly, not very good because my house is concrete. Straight. Best I can do with what has happened here. Next question, please. Can you hear me, Brandon? If the halving is 210,000 blocks and the miners get only the block fee for rewards or mining, is BTC not obsolete with just 7 CBS compared to 1 million transactions in BSV? I think over time, yes. Now, what they will tell you, their argument is that if a transaction in BTC, like full blocks, right? So there is competition to get into block space on BTC, then the price of each of those things will end up being higher, because it's like if you only have one road between New York and Washington, D.C., but you got to get there, you should expect the tolls to be $100 per trip, right? So that's kind of what's going on in their economics, that if they keep the blocks small, the toll price will, in which case they are continue to make more money forever. Now, what I don't like about that is it's essentially a planned economy, and the assumption that people are just going to be willing to pay a bigger and bigger number to use that blockchain no matter what. And that's observably false, because BTC fell below about 50% total in like 20. It very rarely makes its way back over 50. And every time it makes its way back over 50, it trends back down again. So it's obvious that people want to use other blockchains, that, BTC is not your only choice. Now, the flip side for BSV is what we will argue is that if you have larger block space and we encourage more people to make more transactions, then you're collecting lots and lots of transaction fees that can trend up forever in total volume while keeping transaction fees low. So what we believe is that commerce should be cheap to engage in so that you encourage more commerce to occur. And when you do that, then you're profitable by total volume versus profitable by, each transaction is very expensive to do. So the analogy that I like to make is it's kind of like the steakhouse business model versus the McDonald's business model. Your steakhouse needs $100 a plate in order to be profitable, and they are profitable, but they're not really scalable. There's not that many high-end steaks in the world, and there's not that many people who are willing to pay for an expensive steak dinner. They sell billions of burgers. And so those are two very different but sort of related business models, and that's kind of the way that goes. So those are my thoughts. Next one, please, Mr. Ward. Also, can you confirm, I see my video is trash, but is my audio acceptable? Everybody, please let me know. Nelson, is it true that BTC Ordinals and all chains beside BSV stores content in the witness data so that JPEGs are not really even on chain? This is correct. So witness data is in a separate Merkle tree on BTC. So this is what SegWit did. Is it set up an entirely different Merkle tree that hashes and stores your signature data somewhere else, and then it only gives the hash back, and basically says, I have witnessed your signature, hence segregated witness or SegWit. That's where the name comes from. Now, ordinals on BTC and the other chains, they are storing data in that witness data, which is itself prunable. It's kind of like op return in that, yeah, it's on chain, but it doesn't have to be on chain. It's not part of the core UTXO set or one of the completely permanent things in the Bitcoin space. So in theory, if everybody pruned all the witness data of all the ordinals, then it's gone. And then what you're actually trusting is that the problem is that do that over time for the service, and that's that's its own problem. On BSV, it's a little bit different. So it's actually stored in outputs of the UTXO. So they're stored in actual sats, actual Bitcoins, and they are therefore permanent in a way that BTC ordinals are not. So that's that. Next one, please. Did you see the Brian Keating YouTube podcast with Michael Saylor, Randy? No, I did not. If it's recent, anyways, I haven't seen it. Saylor's a nut. Saylor's always been kind of a party boy. So I live near Miami now, so I know a lot of people that have known or done business with Michael over the years, and he's famous for a great many things. One of them is kind of the parties a bit, and makes very strong gambles on things well on his BTC. That's great, but he's ultimately something of an irresponsible in many regards. And I can't stand his sort of the Giga Chad bombacity meme that they've made about him, because he really is just a kind of degenerate gambler type. Done well. The losing most investor living. I think he lost something like $14 billion in one day about 20 years ago. And then overall, hello again. Sorry, everybody. Question, please, Mr. Ward. I think if I cut out again, I should quit and go talk to Paul. Next one. Let's do it. Will Craig Stevens still be a consultant to nChain? Do you agree that his brain and knowledge is still needed to complete the BSV scaling technology? I actually don't know. I don't know what Craig is up to. Last I saw was his tweet from like a week and a half ago saying he'll appeal and whatever. Thanks for the well wishes. I don't know. I presume he would end up staying at to consult on nChain and other stuff, and but I don't know. Craig's got all his end, his path either way. but I do know that he is a maybe workaholic is probably the right. I mean that in the best way possible. He loves his work. He lives. I would recommend to just appear, but I really don't know. Unfortunately. Mr. Word, next question. Bring on the next question, please. Why are the halvings different for the three forks, and does BSV have enough activity to be economically viable for a miner like GorillaPool? So the reason is actually Amaury Sachet's fault. So when BCH split from BTC, there was an issue with... sorry, sound breaking up. Yep, sorry, Brandon. Yeah, so what happened is when the split happened, there was an issue with, there was some kind of bug that basically turbo mined a bunch of blocks, meaning the difficulty algorithm got screwed up, and tons of blocks got mined really fast. So it put Bitcoin Cash ahead of BTC by 2 weeks or something like that. So it mined like 2 weeks of blocks in one day, which is unfortunate because the halving is not based on time, it's based on blocks, which are targeted to time, but basically that kind of thing happens. And then BSV inherited that from Bitcoin Cash when it split from that network. Both BCH and BSV are quite a bit ahead in blocks from BTC, which is something like, I don't know, 10 days behind or something now. So that's what's up. And as for activity, it's still all chains. Almost all profitability from mining comes from the block subsidy, because no blockchain is getting anywhere near the kind of use that Satoshi Nakamoto envisioned it getting used. And so all of them have an economic security problem long term. But ultimately, it's like I said before, if it's not profitable to mine BSV, people will stop mining BSV, and then those who stayed will raise back up to a profitability number. And so that's just how it works. Bitcoin is genuinely self-healing, and that's where we're at. So next question, please. Question, is it more likely that BRICS would start using BSV for cash transactions first because it's already used in South Africa? I'm a member of BRICS. So I actually think BRICS is like a total scam. A lot of people are, oh man, the BRICS dollar is going to replace it. It's actually nonsense. So you got what? Brazil, Russia, Iran, China, and Saudi Arabia, I think, are the BRICS nations. What they don't tell you, they'll say, oh, BRICS is backed by gold and all this other stuff. It was actually backed by third world gold. And I'll tell you what, Chinese gold trades at about a 30% discount from Western gold because you can't verify its provenance. And if you can't verify the chain of custody of when that gold entered circulation, maybe it's gold that has problems from slaves being the ones to mine it and other issues. And so that kind of thing is really problematic. So right out the gate, a BRICS dollar, if it's pegged to BRICS gold, is going to be worth 30% less than an American dollar, which isn't really worth anything. Is it's still better than the full faith credit of other. So sorry, the world runs on memes, and the US dollar meme is better than the BRICS dollar meme, for anybody that actually knows how things work. Now, would the BRICS dollar token get used over BSV? That's possible. I don't know. I don't really care, frankly. It either works or it doesn't. And if the world wants to use the BRICS dollar, then BSV is a great place to try to run it. But those are conversations that would take quite a bit of time in order to suss out. So I don't know. Next question, please. And we have Joey. Congratulations again on the new Wookert on the way. Yes, thank you. I was wondering what you factor in when picking baby names. So actually we know it's a boy. We're going to have a boy in July. We do not know what we're going to name it yet. We are talking about some family names, and we have a few. So my boy got a Japanese name because we're super into Jiu-Jitsu, and my girl got her great grandmother's name because she was the first Wookert to come to America. And now we're trying to think of a boy's name that will be as strong as my other kids' names, so they don't wonder why, like, hey, why does my brother and sister have a really cool name and I've got a really big? So like, we don't want to name him John or Joe or Dan. I thought about Brandon. There we go. Brandon is the strongest man I know. Yeah, I honestly, we've kicked around a few names, and then we're not sure, but we will decide by July, I promise. Next one, please. Overlay service are most used and what are top urgent to create? Ordinals. Ordinals is an example of an overlay service. So Ordinals is a network that is semi-separate from Bitcoin, but it needs to be connected to Bitcoin in order to work. And so Bitcoin and Ordinals have essentially a set of tubes that communicate back and forth. And so that's almost certainly the most used overlay network. Another thing would be SPV, for example. If there's lots of transactions on the chain, the SPV overlay network will be a large one. As for urgent to create, that's an economic question. It really is about cost benefit, and it's a business question. So do you have a business? So like Ordinals Wallet, for example, or OneSetOrdinals.com is a great example on BSV. Those companies have an incentive to create a powerful overlay network urgently. And so that's what I believe will be created first. Now, if somebody were to launch a CBDC, like let's say, whatever, Mexico is going to launch the digital peso on BSV, then that's urgent because they would be paying for that to be built. But otherwise, it really is about, and those things will determine what is the most urgent to get created. So good question, though. Thank you. Next one, please. Would GorillaPool make a deal on bulk processing of transactions with a business? Potentially. It's not really a great mempool is a crucial part of doing that well, but keeping a private mempool also causes some interesting level of orphan risk, and so it gets difficult. It gets difficult to figure out the best way to do it, basically, and also hard to do over time, because if we're the number 1 or 2 miner on the network, that makes a lot of sense. But 20 months after, you might be the number 10 miner and you don't get nearly as much blocks as you thought you could. And you kind of can't make it up if you just can't afford to have more hash power and build more blocks. So it's a little bit of a difficult thing to do for people. And so it's a rough one. I mean, if the deal makes sense, then absolutely, but is a little hard to make sense because it's kind of a difficult process, unfortunately. So next one, please. Thank you, Rui, for the question. What do you think the overall impact, or what will the overall impact be on BTC and BSV with the upcoming halving? I think it'll be a flash in the pan, just like everything else. Bitcoin is fundamentally anti-fragile. And so the poorest chunk of miners on both networks will fall off. Like, they will pack up shop, they'll sell their ASICs, more successful people will buy them, and they'll get repurposed. And then typically, because of the power of the halving meme, the price will go up and everyone will say, hey, I'm glad I'm still mining this chain, and life goes on. That's kind of how I see it. Now, if there's any number of interwoven economic things that could happen, that could cause chaos, but we don't know until we know what's happening. So, black swans happen, they just don't happen often, and I'm not in the mood to talk about all the possible black swans that could happen. So I guess we'll see. Next question. Anyone mining Kurt token on I am trying to mine some Kurt token for days now. I've had my miner up for since Friday. I have to mine any token, and difficulty of using the browser miner. So we're trying to come up with a way to accelerate that, either with GPU or something else. But I want some damn Kurt tokens, and I just can't seem to mine them in the browser. So we're there. By all means, go try to mine some of them if you can. And yeah, so that's the long and short of it. I really should go talk to these tree trimmer guys because I'm going to need somebody to pay to reconnect my Comcast cable now, it looks like. So let's see. We got 2 more questions here. So let's keep it going. The show must go on. Is Centi and its CBDC franc already working and used in applications? So it's not a CBDC. It is not central bank distributed. Like, it's not issued by the central bank. So it's not technically a CBDC, but it's a really good analog. It's a really good example of what one could look like from a technical standpoint. So but that's all I got on that. I don't know who's using it. They're good guys. I actually probably should catch up with Bernard and some of the other guys, but I don't know. So something to find out. Next one, please. I see another good question from Robin here. Is it true I can create blocks, thus vote with my home Raspberry Pi? No, that's impossible at this point on BSV. So validating blocks is too powerful. It can't be done on a Raspberry Pi anymore on BSV. So the answer is no. No, you cannot. At least highly, highly, highly unlikely, approaching zero likelihood of working. Take one more here. I'd like to take this question from New Type. So, will you ever mine other tokens now that BSV has lost a lot of momentum now with the recent trial? Actually, we haven't lost any momentum at all. In fact, GorillaPool had its largest month ever. So, in total mine blocks, total hash power, total sales of ASICs, in fact, possibly buying a whole other mining spot. So, we are the largest customer at a large colocation spot, and we are considering buying the whole company, like the ASICs, the pods, the building, whatever else. So we're actually doing very well over here at GorillaPool, and we may take the plunge and buy our own piece of real estate to continue to grow. But no, we've actually had a lot of people show up, a lot of independent capital as well. A lot of people come our way and saying, hey, you know what? If Calvin's gone on vacation and Craig's kind of gone, whatever, like that actually makes me super bullish. That makes me want to invest. That makes me want to come and jump in and give you guys more money, whatever. We've actually we have had like nothing but bullishness since the Copa trial ended, and it's from all ends. It's from literally our smallest customers all the way up to our largest investor in the company have all been like, cool, where do I double down? So we are pumped, and not to say we would never mine another thing ever. Like, we're pragmatic. If we got to pay the bills and that requires us to pivot pretty hard to something, like, we are capable of doing that. But for right now, we are super bullish. Things are looking really good. So that's where I'm at on that. Mr. Ward, do we have anything else here? Let's see. Where can a person buy BSV in America? All exchanges delisted or withdrawals disabled, or disabled rather. Go to rockwallet.com. You can download the OTC desk. They should be able to help you. If they cannot help you, there's a few ways to get it OTC otherwise, but Rock Wallet should be able to help you. They're available in most states, but like, for example, if you're in New York, I think you cannot, but that's a New York thing, not a Rock Wallet thing. So yeah, so that's probably your best option. If that doesn't work for you, send me a DM on x.com and I'll see if I can point you somewhere else. But I don't want to give other recommendations over the air because I'm not endorsing anybody, and I happen to know the Rock Wallet people, and they're good people, and I don't want to give any other information about other people right now. So that's where we're at. Let's take this last question here too, and about the Bitcoin Association, please. Or it's gone. Maybe it. Yeah, here we go. Any update on Bitcoin Association IPv6 integration with Teranode? Stuff is going well. Nothing's changed between Latif and Craig, at least that I'm aware of. Like, we've, not me personally, but I know there has actually been some interesting progress on the IPv6 front with Teranode, and that's all good and gravy. Actually, Latif would be a good guest to get on maybe in the next week or two. So let's try to make that happen. So, all right, I'm going to wrap up. I'm done. I got to figure out my technical difficulties, and hopefully somebody speaks English outside that I can confer with. So everybody, thank you for watching the show. I'm really sorry about the technical difficulties. We try to maintain the utmost professionalism live here on the air, but ultimately, I can't be responsible for nuclear war, sunspots, EMP, or anything else. And guessing that thing not my cable line. So sorry, thank you, and be good to each other. So everybody, please, we're here every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If I can't broadcast from my house, I guess I'll have to broadcast from somewhere else next week. Depends on what's damaged and how damaged it is. So everybody, thanks again. I'm Kurt Wicker Jr. Goodbye.